Hey everybody, how the hell are you? Eagle here, the Vengeful One. And today I would like to talk about something that rings sort of similar to a topic I've discussed in a previous video of mine. One Piece, a fan's greatest betrayal, but is inherently its own topic. And what that is I'd like to talk about how power scaling and strength expectations in the series of One Piece can ruin the series for you if you're not careful about it. And what I mean is how you have to be able to separate that from the story itself. Because as One Piece fans, we have read and watched the series for over 20 years now. You know, as far as the length of the story goes, and we've gotten used to the fights, and so the fights constantly being there in every arc makes it seem like the fights are an integral piece to the storyline and the plot itself, when the main reason of the fights in themselves is to more so expose the reason behind them, if you know what I mean. Like the emotions, the standing of certain characters, their dreams and how they collide, and the corruption of the world, or how Luffy wants to help people, this and that. It's not just a fighting manga. It's there's much more behind the fights, and it's way deeper than just that. So the fact that the fights are always there doesn't mean that you can say that it's a fighting manga and that the fights are integral to the story, because the fights are more so exposition for the plot and characters' values and dreams and morals. And a good example of this is Luffy. You know, even though Arlong is a corrupt character and he's a powerful character, and he's someone that Luffy could have just said, I'm going to fight him just because, he didn't have any reason to fight him, and he was not going to until Nami asked him to help, and until he learned that he was hurting Nami and this and that. So the fights are less about just fighting and more so about the reasoning behind the fights and the clashing of characters' morals and values and what have you. So power scaling and strength expectations at this point in the series have gotten so cancerous because of the villains we're facing and how strong people expect them to be. The Yonko, right? Kaido, Big Mom, Blackbeard, Shanks, admirals, Yonko commanders. People expect these characters to be so strong and just like some immovable object. They just, like, how strong they expect them to be and what the story does puts a bad taste in their mouth, because they let those expectations of strength blind them to the other parts of the story that make the fights great. Like, it's not just about how strong these characters are. It's about just the dreams and reasoning behind the characters. Like, a good example of this is the Katakuri fight. People wanted Katakuri to be so strong that they completely blinded themselves to every other aspect of the fight besides their strength, and whether or not Luffy should have been able to do this, or whether or not Katakuri should have been able to do that. In the community, have heard very little questions asked about just the emotional side of things, and I don't want to go too deep into this because I do plan on doing a video on Katakuri and why the fight was great, because he is deep. Alright, and the Big Mom pirates are a giant facade of hypocrisy and just corruption. But that's another topic for another day. People wanted Katakuri to be such a strong, immovable object, and they got so consumed and fixated on how he was first represented, that they completely were oblivious to and ignored the emotional process he went through throughout the fight, and the revelation of his true nature. So the point that I'm making is that power scaling is okay. Like saying, would this person beat this person, da 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 da. Expectations of strength are okay, because yes, these characters have been touted up and they've been hyped up to be these monsters in the world of One Piece that nobody has authority over. But at the same time, you do have to remember that these are One Piece characters. They're going to have quirky little things about them. They're going to have weaknesses, and they're going to have emotions and dreams and values, and they're less than just a wall, like, and something that goes hand in hand with that is that while these characters are presented to be these giant, monsters in the world, you do have to remember that this is indeed the point of the story that we are at. And these characters are obstacles to be surmounted at the end of the day. They're in the story as obstacles to be surmounted. And people get a bad taste in their mouth because they say, well, Luffy's not ready. He's not strong enough. He's just not. And this is where this is what I'm talking about. People let strength expectations blind them to the other great aspects of the story. Say Luffy was ready, quote unquote, ready to fight a Yonko. He goes into their territory. Everybody beats the shit out of their adversary, and Luffy 1v1s the Yonko with ease because he was ready. Then what would the fandom be saying? They would be in a rave about how it's trash. The Yonko was trash. He wasn't out there. Blah, 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 blah. So at the end of the day, you have to realize that these are One Piece characters, and they are obstacles to be surmounted. They're gonna be goofy. They're gonna be quirky. There's gonna be little stupid shit about them that allows them to be beaten. That's One Piece. It's what makes One Piece great. I mean, it is what it is. It's just it upsets me to see people so upset about something that really is just there's no reason to be upset about it, because yes, while these characters are supposed to be very strong, and they are supposed to be these characters that are represented as this and that and the strongest characters in the universe of One Piece, but at the same time, they are simply obstacles in Luffy's path to be surmounted on his road to becoming the Pirate King. He will beat all these people. He will become stronger than them. It's inevitable. And if he was ready and went in there as strong as them and just beat them with ease, it would not be interesting. It has to be presented in a way where Luffy comes and he does surmount an obstacle. It's not like he's just like, cool, it's another step on the road. It has to be difficult. It has to be a fight to the brink of his life. He has to push himself beyond his limits, because that's how you make it interesting. So the fact that he isn't ready to fight the Yonko, that's something that has to be present when he's fighting the Yonko. Otherwise it would be uninteresting, and it would be not very good, because the Yonko would be misrepresented as what they've been touted up to be. So Luffy will never be ready for the opponent he's about to beat, quote unquote, because he has to surmount an obstacle in beating them. You understand? So I hate when people say that, because it really just makes no sense. So just, yes, you can be hyped up about how strong these characters are supposed to be, and they are. And you can power scale, but you have to be able to separate that from the real greatness of, you know, that is One Piece. You know, that's all well and good, but like, you cannot let that poison your view of it, because it's just not really on the forefront. There's much more present things that make the series great, and that you have to notice to really enjoy every aspect of the series, because there's depth to these characters still. There's hypocrisy to these characters. There's all kinds of things besides just how strong they are. And people, that kind of stuff is lost on them because they're so consumed with how strong they think they should be, and it just upsets me. So I don't know. That being said, I'm gonna cut it here because I'm just rambling at this point, and this might sound ring a little similar with my other video, but it is inherently its own topic, like I said. So thank you all for watching. If you did, like, comment, subscribe if you feel like it. Dislike if you didn't like the video. Other than that, as always, have a beautiful day. And this will be Eagle signing off. All right, I'll see you next time.